Let me make sure my thumbnails are not going to get in the way. Okay, how are we looking, Emily? Does that look live to you?
Yes, we are looking good.
Perfect. So people keep popping into the waiting room, so I apologize for the little black box that might appear at the top of my shared screen. But welcome everyone. My name is Krista. Hi.
Hello.
All right, thank you for joining everyone. I will ask that, just a friendly reminder that we ask you to mute your microphones for the duration of this event. We do not want anyone listening in as you discuss your answers if you're with a team. But my name is Krista. I am the Education and Outreach Coordinator for Save Our Shores. And also with us tonight is Emily. She is our Program Manager for Save Our Shores. And Emily will be monitoring the chat in both Zoom as well as the comment section on our Facebook Live. So you can play through Facebook and drop your answers into the comments. If you have any questions during trivia, we ask you to also put those into the chat. And we will be utilizing the chat for you to submit your answers directly to Emily after each question. And we will go over the rules and how we're going to be playing in just a moment. But first, I want to give a special thank you to the City of Santa Cruz for sponsoring this event. And we also have a pledge to reduce your use of single-use plastics. So those of us that are joining us, we ask if you are willing to take the pledge. We will put the link into the chat. And if you sign the pledge, you will receive an email from Save Our Shores with tips to turn that pledge into reality. So sometimes it's very easy to sign a pledge and then you don't know where to begin. So we will be getting everyone that signs the pledge some easy to do tips to help you reduce your use of single-use plastic. All right, we have a few people still joining. Here we go, back to our pledge. And let's go through how we are going to play. So you could be playing by yourself or you could be playing with a team. We ask that you keep your microphones muted. And if you are playing on a team and you're not all in the same location, you'll need to set up some kind of group phone call or other way that you can communicate with each other outside of Zoom. That way you can discuss your answers to the questions without everyone listening in. So for each round, we're going to go through the questions via myself reading them to you and sharing my screen so you'll be able to see the questions. And then you will have 1 minute to think it over and submit an answer. Now to submit your answer, you or your team captain, if you're in a group, will privately message through Zoom your answer to Emily. So Emily is not only going to be keeping track of the chat, but she's also going to be keeping score for us tonight. So she is our official scorekeeper. Now, if you're unsure about how to use the chat or direct message someone in Zoom, at the bottom of your screen should be a chat button. If your screen is not fully open, you'll have a more option with 3 dots. Click on more and then you should be able to see the chat. So the chat window box will open up. And then at the bottom where you type into the chat, you can change who your message goes to. So it automatically sets you up to send your message to the whole group. We don't want you to do that. We want you to only send your answers to Emily. So there's a drop-down arrow next to where it says everyone. If you click that, you can choose who to message. So choose Emily. She is the co-host of our plastic pollution trivia night. If you are unsure how to find that, go ahead and put that into the chat and Emily can help you figure that out. Sorry about these black boxes. They should go away soon. Now, after you submit your answer privately to Emily, then we're going to move on to the next question. So we're going to go through each question. You'll submit an answer. After, then we will tally the scores for each round and we'll give you an update to see who is in the lead for that particular round. Someone had muted me. I apologize.
That was me, sorry. I was trying to admit someone in the waiting room.
All right. Is it Laura?
Yeah, every time I admit, she pops back into the waiting room.
Yeah, I noticed that. I tried to admit her as well. So sorry, Laura.
I'll try to figure that out if you want to continue.
All right, thank you. So that is how we're going to play. Now, the rules of the game. So we're going to have 3 rounds. Each round will have 5 questions related to plastic pollution. And then we will have 1 bonus question per round. Now we ask, please, no cheating. We're all going to pledge to play on the honor system. And at the end of the 3 rounds, the person or the team with the highest score will be dubbed our Save Our Shores Trivia Night winner, and they will receive a zero waste kit as a prize from Save Our Shores. All righty, so each round has 5 questions and a bonus question. After we go through those questions and you've submitted all your answers, then we will go back through each question and we'll give out the answers. And hopefully you learn some fun facts, some new information about plastic, so we can all share our knowledge with others that unfortunately aren't able to join us tonight. All right, who is ready for round 1?
Actually, before you get started, could everyone type into the chat, and you can message either everyone or just me privately your team name, or if you're participating on your own, just your name into the chat, and then how many people are on your team. That would be great.
Thank you, Emily. Important information for our scorekeeper. And I know we had a few people join us a little bit late, so I'm just scrolling back through our slides here just to reiterate how we are going to play. You will be submitting your answers after each question to Emily privately through the chat, whether that's here on Zoom or if you're playing on Facebook. And then we're going to tally the scores after each round. And again, that's 3 rounds, 5 questions each, as well as a bonus question. All right, hopefully everyone has submitted their names to Emily in the chat, or their team name, and how many people are playing on your team.
And for those of you that are on a group with more than one person, just make sure that you know who from your group will be submitting your answers to each question so that multiple people from your group don't send answers. And maybe for each question too, if you could just type your team name and your response, that would be awesome.
Are we ready to go, Emily?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So we are going to begin round one. Now, these questions have been fact-checked. We've done our research. With plastic pollution, there's constantly new information coming out. So if you're unsure about things or you question one of the answers, definitely let us know in the chat and we can always provide you our sources after the trivia night. And also, before we begin, I just want to let you know some of these questions may be easy to you, but just remember not everyone is an expert in plastic pollution, which is why we're hosting this trivia night. We mostly want people to learn more about plastic pollution. All right, so let's begin. Let's learn some new things and win a prize. Question number 1. True or false? Ocean garbage patches are areas of concentrated marine debris at the surface of the ocean. I will begin my timer. You have 1 minute to think about the question and submit your answer to Emily privately and include your team name with your answer. So true or false? So we're on a countdown, 30 seconds left to submit an answer. True or false? Ocean garbage patches are areas of concentrated marine debris at the surface of the ocean. 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Time is up. All right, everyone. Hopefully,
I'm sorry, please just remember to include your group name in your response unless you're answering as an individual. Please and thank you.
Thank you, Emily. We want to make sure we're giving points to the correct groups. All right, we're going to move on to question number 2. What type of plastic marine debris is most commonly mistaken for food and eaten by sea turtles? This is a short answer question. Timer begins now. What type of plastic marine debris is most commonly mistaken for food and eaten by sea turtles? "30 seconds left to submit an answer." I wish I had some Jeopardy music or something to play for you while you think over these answers. All right, final call for an answer. 10 seconds left. And time. All right. We're gonna keep trucking along, moving on to question number 3. This is a yes or no question. Do plastics biodegrade? Do plastics biodegrade? Yes or no? 1 minute on the clock. Okay, 30 seconds left. Think it over. Do plastics biodegrade? And we got 10 seconds left. Make sure you are privately submitting your answers to Emily in the chat or in the comments on Facebook. All right, that is time. We'll give everyone a moment to finish up sending in their answers. All righty, that was question number 3. Do plastics biodegrade? Hopefully everyone has submitted an answer by now. And we are going to switch over to question number 4. This one is another true or false. This symbol that you see on the slide means a plastic item is recyclable. True or false? Start the clock for 1 minute. This symbol means a plastic item is recyclable. "30 seconds left. Make sure you're submitting your answers. True or false? This symbol means a plastic item is recyclable. "10 seconds left. Three, two, one. All right, make sure you get your answers in, true or false. And don't forget to share your team name so Emily knows who to award those points to. And we are zipping right through this round 1. The next question will be question number 5. All right, question number 5 is a short answer. What is one way a piece of trash on the ground gets transported to the ocean? 1 minute on the clock. What is one way a piece of trash on the ground gets transported to the ocean? Now, this is a short answer question, and there are actually multiple correct answers on this question. So there's not one right answer, but we will accept many different answers to this. 30 seconds left. Think about a piece of trash on the ground. How could it get moved out to the ocean? The clock is ticking. We got 10 seconds left. All right, time is up. Make sure if you haven't submitted an answer, you do so now. Thinking about how trash moves around. Okay, here we go on to our round 1 bonus question. What U.S. state was the first to ban single-use plastic bags? Bonus questions are worth the same amount of points as a regular question. What U.S. state was the first to ban single-use plastic bags? You have a 1 in 50 chance of getting this one right. 30 more seconds to think about the first state to ban single-use plastic bags. "20 seconds left. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. We're going to give Emily a moment to collect all of your answers. She's been collecting them as we went through each question. And we're going to give her a moment to gather all those together and calculate who is in the lead after round 1. So while we wait for Emily to give us a scoreboard update, I just want to bring us back to our pledge. For those that may have missed it, we did put this up right at the very beginning, but we are asking everyone to pledge to reduce their use of single-use plastic. So there is a link that we will drop right into the chat. Oops, so sorry, I moved my slide. And that link will take you to a form to sign the pledge and provide us with your email. And by signing the pledge, you will receive an email from Save Our Shores with tips on how to turn your pledge into reality. We want to help people make good on their pledge and give you real concrete steps that you can take to reduce your use of single-use plastic. All right, apologies for the black boxes. If those show up on your screen, they will eventually go away. And Emily.
I am still going through these responses. I'm sorry, it's hard on my very little screen.
No problem. I was trying to copy the link to put the pledge link again into the chat, and it's not allowing me to open the chat. So I'm sorry.
For just for folks who are playing, for any questions that are true or false, please put true or false instead of yes, no, because we had some yes, no questions and true, false questions, and it's getting a little bit tricky determining which question you're responding to there. I think I've got the picture, but
Yes, thank you, Emily. I will try to remind everyone as well when I'm reading the questions how to frame your answer when you submit that to Emily in the chat, just to make it a little easier on her. Now, in just a moment, we will go through the answers to each question. And to do that, what we'll do is we'll show the question again, so you can think back to what your answer was, and then we will follow that with the answer and with some extra information for you.
Krista, if you want to go ahead and do that while I'm totaling these up, that would be great.
Yeah, do you want to do that going forward so you have more time? We can just right into the answers.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with us these trivia nights. You know, we always are trying to find the most streamlined way. But we appreciate you being here and for playing with us. So let's jump into round one. The first question was a true or false. Ocean garbage patches are areas of concentrated marine debris at the surface of the ocean. Let's see how many of you guessed correctly. The answer is false. Now that is a tricky one, and I apologize, we started you off with a bang with a hard one, but that is false because yes, ocean garbage patches are areas of concentrated marine debris. However, the debris is persistent throughout the water column. So it's not just at the surface of the ocean, which the question did say. So false for question number one. Ocean garbage patches are areas of concentrated marine debris, but that debris is not just sitting on the top of the ocean. It's actually found all the way throughout the water column, which means that it's at the top, it's floating around in the midwater, and it's even down on the bottom. Question number two. What type of plastic marine debris is most commonly mistaken for food and eaten by sea turtles? Let's find out. The answer is plastic bags. So sea turtles, such as the endangered leatherback sea turtle that visits the Monterey Bay every year, they migrate the oceans feeding on jellies. And unfortunately, plastic bags floating in the water look just like a jelly floating in the water to these sea turtles. And they can't recognize that that is not their normal source of food. And so plastic bags are the #1 ingested item for sea turtles. Okay, let's check out question 3. This was a yes or no question. Do plastics biodegrade? The answer is no. Unfortunately, plastics go through a different process, and that is called photodegradation. So that means they break down into smaller pieces from being exposed to both UV light from the sun, as well as wave action when they're in the ocean. What that means is plastics never truly go away. They just become smaller and smaller and smaller. So unlike a piece of paper that gets littered on the ground, will eventually biodegrade because that paper is made out of a natural fiber. Plastics do not do that. They break down into smaller pieces, just like this picture here of a person holding up a handful of microplastics. That's what we call plastic pieces that are smaller than about 5 millimeters in size. And plastics can break down so small that there's even a term called a nanoplastic, which is so tiny that you need a microscope to see it. Okay. Next question was also a true or false. This symbol means a plastic item is recyclable. So this symbol is the arrows in a triangle shape with a number in the middle. That is false. I'm sorry. I wish all plastics with that symbol meant that they were recyclable, but the number actually represents what the plastic is made out of. So this system with the number inside and the arrows in the triangle shape, very misleading because it's so similar to the recycle chasing arrows symbol. But this was designed by the plastic industry to try and make it easier to sort plastic materials for recycling. But it does not mean that that item is and will be recycled. It just tells the recycling manufacturers what that plastic is made out of, and then they can decide, are they going to recycle that type? So I have a little graphic here that shows all the different numbers and what each one represents and some examples of what you would find made out of that type of plastic. And something to be aware of is that unfortunately plastic recycling is not the same throughout the US. Each facility will accept different types of plastic for recycling. So it's always good to check your local jurisdiction and your local recycling facility to determine what numbers they will accept where you live. And any numbers that they don't accept, those items are trash. So that may help you think twice about the items that you buy if you know a certain number is not accepted where you live. All right, so that question is false. Next question is, what is one way a piece of trash on the ground gets transported to the ocean? So if for some reason your chip bag fell out of your backpack when you're walking down the street, how could that chip bag get from the street out into our ocean? And remember, there's many correct answers to this one. But the main way that trash on the ground gets transported is through our watershed. So a watershed is an area of land where all the rainfall or snow melt washes down into the same direction, and then it leads out to outflow points. So they travel through our creeks, our streams, our rivers, even our storm drains, and wind. So wind can also be a vector for moving plastic and trash on the ground out to the ocean. So if you put something down like a storm drain, the wind, rain, the watershed, any type of creek, river, or stream, then you got that answer correct. All right, time for our bonus question. What US state was the first to ban single-use plastic bags? Now, unfortunately, plastic bags have made a comeback into our lives recently due to COVID. I was just with a group this morning that said they were shocked to see how many plastic bags were on the beach today when they did a beach cleanup. So our plastic bags are coming back, unfortunately. But we were making good momentum on placing these bans on these plastic bags. The first state to implement a ban was California. They passed a proposition in 2016, and that created a bag charge of 10 cents for both paper or plastic bags. But what happened was the plastic bag manufacturers were very unhappy about having their bags banned, those single-use, very thin plastic bags, that they found a loophole that by making their plastic bags thicker, they are considered reusable. So that is why we see those plastic bags still in our stores and still being offered even before COVID. And you may have noticed that the material changed. It's no longer that really paper thin plastic, but they're a thicker, hardier plastic, which gives them the opportunity to be labeled as reusable. And that is why we are seeing them. So bonus question number 1 was California.
Awesome. All right, and we have the results totaled up. I think it was good to go through those questions and give me a second. A few things. So just a reminder, if the answer is true or false, please write your answer as either true or false, not yes or no. Perhaps if folks want to keep track of their responses as well, just to make sure that I understood them correctly in the chat, that might be a good idea as a backup. And you cannot change your answer. I'm sorry. You cannot change your answer.
Darn it.
So right now in the lead, we have Nerdles Turtles.
Woo!
And close behind, we have Clams, Michelle W, and Barnacles, all
Wow.
for second place right now. 2 more rounds.
Way to go.
And I was seeing some good excitement for for the questions in the chat, so I'm glad that we got people thinking.
Yay, that makes me really happy. I'm glad that the race is really close too. We like it when it creates a little competition. So watch out, Nerdles, Turtles. The other participants are coming after you. All right, so now it is time for round 2. We're gonna do the exact same thing. We'll go through the questions. You'll have 1 minute to submit your answer. And I will try to remember to tell you the format that you should give your answer in. And don't forget to include your group or team name when you submit your answer to Emily. So round 2, we are gonna dive in to a multiple choice question. So to give Emily your answer, you will submit either A, B, C, or D with the percentage. The multiple choice question is, what percentage of plastic produced is intended for single-use purposes? Multiple choice. A, 10%, B, 25%, C, 40%, and D, 75%. 1 minute on the clock. What percentage of plastic produced is intended for single-use purposes? Answer A through D in the chat to Emily. $30 left. If you're unsure, go ahead and make a guess. You have 25% chance of getting it right. We got 10 seconds left to submit your answer. 3, 2, 1. Time is up. We'll give you just a moment in case you're frantically typing in the chat, but make sure you get your answer to Emily. And we will move on to question number 2. Is plastic production increasing or decreasing over time? So your answer should either be increasing or decreasing. Is plastic production increasing or decreasing over time?
And I think we might have missed one response on the last question. I can message someone privately.
Okay, so we'll give a few extra moments after this question to make sure we receive an answer from someone. For this question, you have 15 seconds left to submit your answer. Is plastic production increasing or decreasing over time? 3, 2, 1. Time is up. Now, we're just going to pause a moment, give Emily time to reach out to someone that may have missed the previous question. We like to be fair. We want everyone to participate. So we'll give you just extra time to think about, is plastic production increasing or decreasing?
Is April Tovar still in the participants list? April, are you still here?
Let me take a look. She is still showing as in the participants list, so maybe she had to step away.
Okay. Didn't get a response to the last 2 questions. Just want to make sure everyone's responses.
Okay. Well, I think we should move on.
Yep.
Maybe something came up with her, and that's okay. Next question. This is a short answer question. What is the deadliest type of plastic marine debris in our oceans? So short answer to Emily. What is the deadliest type of plastic marine debris in our oceans? For those that may not know, marine debris is just the term used for any trash or pollution in the oceans that's not meant to be there. So it could be purposely or accidentally released into the ocean, but that is the term marine debris.
Can I ask for a little clarification? Is that possible?
Sure.
Are we looking for maybe, maybe you can't answer this, sizes or specific items?
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's actually a great clarification question. So we're looking for a specific type of item. So not necessarily the size of something, but the deadliest type of item. Thank you for asking that. And we'll give an extra 30 seconds for everyone to think about this question, since that may have been a bit confusing. But we're looking for the deadliest type of plastic marine debris. So a specific item or category of items. All right, we'll give 10 more seconds to think about this one and submit your answer to Emily.
Looking good. We got them all.
Perfect. Okay. Next question. What was the #1 most littered item found on beaches worldwide in 2019? So this is a short answer question, and we are looking for one type, the #1 most littered item that was found on beaches worldwide. So not just here in the US, but throughout the whole planet Earth last year in 2019. 1 minute on the clock.
Sorry, can I ask a clarifying question? Does this answer have to necessarily be a plastic item?
It does not. That might be a hint that we are playing plastic pollution trivia, but you don't have to think of a plastic item. Could be a non-plastic item. All right, 10 seconds left. Okay, last few moments to submit your answer to Emily. What was the #1 most littered item found on beaches worldwide last year in 2019? Next question. How many of the top 10 items found during the 2019 International Coastal Cleanup Day were made of plastic? So this is a short answer. 0 through 10 should be where your answer lies. How many of the top 10 items that were found were made of plastic? Was it 1? Was it 5? Was it 7? You get to pick a number between 0 and 10. And for those that may be wondering, what is International Coastal Cleanup Day? That is the term used globally, whereas here in California, we do what's called Annual Coastal Cleanup Day. So it's just a different term for the same thing. And we are actually right now in September in the middle of Annual Coastal Cleanup Month. So 15 more seconds. How many of the top 10 items found during the 2019 International Coastal Cleanup Day were made of plastic? 3, 2, and 1. Make sure you get your answers submitted if you have not already done so. And we are now on the round 2 bonus question. So the final question for round 2. Which U.S. city was the first to ban plastic straws? This is a tricky one. 1 minute on the clock. Which U.S. city was the first to ban plastic straws? "30 seconds left." Think about what US city was the first. Doesn't have to be a big city, though those cities do tend to get the most recognition.
Krista, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Would it be possible to add an extra 30 seconds or so for folks to get their answers in? I think people are with their group, and might be better to just give just a touch more time if possible.
Sure. For just this question or all questions, you think?
For all the questions for round 3.
Definitely. I'll add 30 seconds to the clock right now for this question. And yeah, going forward for round 3, we'll make it a minute and a half to get your answer submitted. All right, so 10 more seconds. Submit your answer to Emily. Which US city was the first to ban plastic straws? And that is time. So round 2 is a wrap. Make sure you have submitted your answers to Emily so she can tally up the scoreboard for round 2. And while we go through the answers, she will update that scoreboard and we'll see who is in the lead after round 2. All right, everyone. As of now, you can no longer submit an answer for round 2 because we're moving into time for answers. So round 2, question 1 was multiple choice. What percentage of plastic produced is intended for single-use purposes, which means it's only going to be used once and thrown out? A, 10%, B, 25%, C, 40%, or D, 75%. Let's find out. The answer is C, 40%. That is shocking. That is almost half of all plastic ever made is intended to only be used once. So those are your straws, your balloons, your plastic utensils, your coffee cup lids, everything that we most likely don't think about every day is only meant to be used once. And thinking back to the questions in the previous round, where we learned that plastic does not biodegrade, it just goes to show how much plastic is truly out there on our planet. So to give you an example of how long plastic can live, one plastic straw is estimated to take up to 200 years to fully break down. That means that one plastic straw is going to outlive all of us. Now think about how many straws you've used in your lifetime, how many straws people use every day. Shocking. So that is answer C, 40% of all plastic produced is intended to only be used once. Question 2, is plastic production increasing or decreasing over time? So are we making more plastic as time goes by, or are we making less plastic? The answer is increasing. From 1950, when plastic production really took off, to 2015, this data has not been updated since 2015, but you can see the trend. The trend is skyrocketing. In that 65-year period, plastic production increased by over 18,950%. I've never seen a percent that high. That is a huge increase. So as the world is shifting in these modern times towards more renewable energy sources, the fossil fuel industry is really investing heavily in plastic production to make up for that loss in their fossil fuel business. That is a huge number. And I assume from 2015 to today, the trend is continuing. But that is an increasing, a really high increase of plastic production. All right, what is the deadliest type of plastic marine debris in our oceans? So the deadliest type of plastic marine debris is an item or items made out of plastic, and it is ghost fishing gear. So ghost fishing gear can include things like lost or discarded fishing nets, fishing lines, buoys, traps, pots. All of those things are made out of plastic, as well as a mix of materials. But it's called ghost fishing gear because it continues to fish and trap animals after it's been lost or discarded. And it has a huge impact on a variety of species. So fish, invertebrates, seabirds, turtles, and pictured here are marine mammals. They get tangled up, they continue to get caught in these nets and in these traps, and no one's there to collect them. So no one's benefiting from this type of fishing. These nets are just floating out there and continuing to fish, and they have been dubbed the most deadly type of marine debris in our oceans. Okay, what was the #1 most littered item found on beaches worldwide in 2019? Now I'm going to shock everyone right now with this answer, but it was plastic food wrappers. That's so surprising to me because for years it has been cigarette butts. But in 2019, plastic food wrappers overtook cigarette butts as the most common trash item found during the International Coastal Cleanup of 2019. However, here in the United States, cigarette butts are still the #1 item found on our beaches, not only during International Coastal Cleanup Day, but year round. So if you submitted cigarette butts as your answer, we will accept that, but we wanted you to learn that that has now changed internationally to plastic food wrappers. And that is huge because think about all of the snacks and foods that we buy that come in these plastic wrappers, and they are outpacing cigarette butts now. It's the #1 item. We'll find out if 2020 continues that trend next year when the Ocean Conservancy releases their report. But for now, it is plastic food wrappers. But don't worry, if you said cigarette butts, you'll still get a point for that question. Okay, next question. How many of the top 10 items found during the 2019 International Coastal Cleanup Day were made of plastic? So 0 up to 10. How many of them were made of plastic? The answer is all 10. All 10 items on the list are made from plastic. That trend started in 2017, and that was the first year that the top 10 items found were plastic. And this is the list here. The trend, that says 2019. That should be 2018 because 2019 data just came out and cigarette butts and food wrappers should be swapped on there. But as you can see, all of these 10 items are made from plastic, and they are the most common types of trash that is being found worldwide. All right, round 2 bonus question. Which US city was the first to ban plastic straws? This is a tough one. This one took a lot of research because I kind of hinted at it when we talked about this question, or when you were thinking about it, that the major cities are the ones that get the most recognition, but it wasn't a big city. It was actually the city of Santa Cruz. So Santa Cruz implemented their ban in 2017, and it didn't only include plastic straws, it also included different types of utensils. And the reason plastic straws have been targeted is because they are not recyclable. Every single plastic straw ever made is still around today, except for that small portion that gets incinerated or burned with other plastic, which is also harmful to our environment. But the city of Santa Cruz implemented their ban in 2017, though the city of Seattle tends to get the credit, but they didn't implement their ban until 2018. And if you research that, they were the first major US city. So Santa Cruz is not considered a major city, so we don't get that recognition. But I'm proud to say the city of Santa Cruz was the first one to ban plastic straws. And again, if you're thinking about that, that's only within the city limits of Santa Cruz. That did not count for the county or the unincorporated areas of Santa Cruz County. It was just within city of Santa Cruz. Okay, so we are ready for Emily to give us a scoreboard update before we jump into round 3.
Okay, so right now we have a tie between
Wow.
Clams and Nurdles Turtles for first place.
Woohoo!
And we have another tie for second place between Ocean Lovers, Clive, Tina, Michelle W, and Barnacles. So lots of people, everyone's doing really, really well. And
Excellent.
yeah.
Ooh, I like this. So we did have someone trying to overtake Nurdles Turtles. So it's now Clams and Nurdles Turtles in the lead. We will find out who comes out on top after round 3. All right, let's dive in to round 3. We will begin with a true or false. True or false? There are microplastics in our drinking water. True or false? And
Remember to respond true or false and not no, please.
yes, make sure it's true or false in your answer. And we are now giving you 1 minute and 30 seconds to submit your answer to Emily in the chat or in the comments if you're playing on Facebook. There are microplastics in our drinking water. True or false? One minute left.
Okay, looks like everybody got their responses in actually.
Wow, you are all really on top of it with that question. You must be feeling very confident in your answers. We still had 40 seconds left, but I will cancel the timer and we will move on to question number 2. This is a multiple choice. How many plastic bottles are sold around the world every minute? A, 50,000, B, 250,000, C, 500,000, or D, 1 million? How many plastic bottles are sold around the world every minute? So make sure you answer in the chat with A, B, C, or D. 1 minute and 30 seconds to decide.
Awesome. Just waiting for a few more folks to submit their response.
All right, we got 1 minute left on the clock. Plenty of time to think it over. Those are all very large numbers. But again, this is asking how many plastic bottles are sold around the world, so the entire globe, every minute. 1 minute, 60 seconds. So in the time it's taking us to answer this question.
Wow, that's weird to think about.
Yeah. 20 seconds left. If you're unsure, you can always make a guess. Get your answer into Emily.
All right, we are in. All the responses are in.
Great, okay. I'm excited to show you the answers for that one, but it'll have to wait. We're moving on to the next question. True or false? There are 500 times more microplastic particles in the ocean today than there are stars in the Milky Way galaxy. 1 minute and 30 seconds to think that over. You're going to respond with true or false. There are 500 times more microplastic particles in the ocean today than stars in the Milky Way galaxy. I love this question. 1 more minute. Twenty seconds left. True or false?
I also want to share how much I love everyone's team names. Don't think I've shared them all, but we have Articles, Team Regina George, with a 3 for the E, clever. The Wonder Children,
Nice.
Lovers, Clams, and Nurdle Turtles.
Those are great.
All right, all the responses are in.
Okay, thank you. Next question. We're going back to another multiple choice. How many microplastic particles are you consuming on average with each meal that you eat? Is it A, 10, B, 50, C, 100, or D, 250? So how many microplastic particles are you consuming on average with each meal? Multiple choice, you're going to choose A through D and send that in to Emily. One minute left.
Looks like we've had a team name change from the Wonder Children to the Wonder Pets.
Oh, I like the Wonder Pets. Wonder Children was good too. Makes me
say
wonder
that
years. 30 seconds left. Thinking about how many microplastic particles that we eat with each meal. Scary. Gives you a clue that 0 is not an option. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Get your answer in if you haven't
Alright.
already done so. Okay. True or false? Plastic and its associated chemicals consumed by marine life moves up the food chain. True or false? So plastic and its associated chemicals, meaning the chemicals that are used to make plastic, which lives in the material of plastic, if it's consumed by marine life, does it move up the food chain? True or false? One minute left.
Alright, we've got everybody.
All right, we had 30 seconds left. You guys are getting good at this. Next question is the final question of the evening. This is our round 3 bonus question, and this is a fun one for you. What does a hollowed out pumpkin filled with hard-boiled eggs, a hula Barbie doll attached to a homemade raft, and a message in a test tube all have in common? Start the clock. So this is a short answer question. What do these items have in common? A hollowed out pumpkin filled with hard-boiled eggs, a hula Barbie doll attached to a homemade raft, and a message in a test tube. What do they have in common? 1 minute left. This is a short answer question. There could be a few right answers. All right, 30 seconds left. Get those answers in. And 5 more seconds for our round 3 bonus question. The final question of the evening. That is time. Okay, are we waiting on anyone to submit an answer?
Not anymore.
Okay, great. So we will give Emily time to total up the scores for round 3 and add them to our final tally. And let's go through our round 3 answers. I love some of these questions, so I'm excited to share the answers with you all. Question 1 was true or false? There are microplastics in our drinking water. That is true. Studies have found that 83% globally and 94% here in the US of tap water that has been tested contained microfibers. So microfibers are a type of plastic. That image there on the top is an image of a microfiber under a microscope. So it shows how tiny they are. But they come from our clothes. So microfibers come from synthetic clothing, such as polyester. They also found that a single liter of bottled water could contain thousands of microplastic particles, and that there was an average of 325 particles per liter of bottled water that they tested. And they tested all different brands. That is an extremely high number. And there is an image there on the bottom of microplastic particles that were found under the microscope. So not only microplastic pieces, but microfibers are in our water. There's no escaping the plastic crisis that we are in. Next question was multiple choice. How many plastic bottles are... Oh, someone asking a question?
Nope, you're good.
Okay. Sorry about that. How many plastic bottles are sold around the world every minute? 50,000, 250,000, 500,000, or a million? So this is globally every single minute. The answer is D, 1 million. That is a huge number. So in the minute that we gave you to answer this question, 1 million plastic bottles were sold. That equals 20,000 plastic bottles are purchased every single second around the world. It is a huge number. They estimate that by next year, that statistic will increase by another 20%. So that answer next year is most likely to go up to 1.2 million plastic bottles sold every minute. So you think about just the amount of plastic bottles that are being purchased, but then you look at how many or what the percentage of our plastic is getting recycled. And it is very small. Only 9% of all plastic ever made has been recycled. The remainder ends up in our landfills, ends up in our environment, in our oceans, or a very small percentage gets incinerated or burned. Only 9% gets recycled or has ever been recycled. But I hope that number sticks with you, because that number always sticks with me. 1 million plastic bottles every minute. Staggering. All right, moving on to my favorite question. True or false? There are 500 times more microplastic particles in the ocean today than stars in the Milky Way galaxy. So including the whole Milky Way, how many stars do you think there are? And are there 500 times more microplastic particles? The answer? True. There are an estimated 51 trillion microplastic particles in the ocean, whereas scientists only estimate to be 100 to 400 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy. That's a huge number. So just to think about 100 to 400 billion stars, and then to realize there's 500 times more pieces of microplastic particles in our ocean. Now, these, of course, are estimates based on scientific studies. No one could ever go out and count how many microplastic particles are really in our ocean, just the same way that they have a hard time actually counting how many stars are in our galaxy, but they have an estimate. And the estimate is there is 500 times more plastic particles than stars in the Milky Way. Next question, how many microplastic particles are you consuming on average with each meal? Is it 10, 50, 100, or 250? So this is on average, but the answer is C, 100. Every time you eat a meal, you're consuming an average of 100 microplastics. Scientists studied food and humans and how much they were eating per year, and they were able to average that each person consumes over 70,000 microplastics every year. And that's comparable to eating a credit card's worth of plastic every week. So you may have heard that comparison before, that you're eating a credit card every week. That came from this study where they found out that an average of 100 microplastic particles in every meal that you eat. All right, true or false? Plastic and its associated chemicals consumed by marine life moves up the food chain. That is true. So when an animal consumes a piece of plastic, that plastic will leach chemicals into the tissues of that animal. And over time, as they continually eat plastic, those levels increase in that one animal. That's called bioaccumulation. So this graphic on the side here shows bioaccumulation at the top. Over time, those fish are consuming more and more plastic, and their level of toxins increases. Additionally, when an animal such as that fish is eaten by a predator, those chemicals are then transferred to that larger predator, and it moves up the food chain. So this causes a lot of our large top predators at the top of our food chain having extremely high levels of these toxic chemicals. And this is called biomagnification. So biomagnification is the transfer of those chemicals up the food chain, whereas bioaccumulation is at the individual level, how many toxins are in that one animal. You may have heard about this biomagnification with an example on the west coast of our orca populations up in the Pacific Northwest. There was a very famous orca that carried around her dead baby for a while. And I just heard she had another baby, so I hope that this one survives. But they've tested those orcas and they have extremely high levels of toxins and chemicals in their bodies, which is passed to their offspring through their milk when they are feeding that their young. So unfortunately, that is another huge problem with plastic. And now I know this image doesn't show a certain someone at the top of the food chain, but you may have inferred that we humans are also part of the food chain. We eat seafood and we are at the top. So we eat a lot of different types, which means we receive a lot of those chemicals when we're eating our seafood as well. All right, we're gonna move on to our final question, the round 3 bonus question. What does a hollowed out pumpkin filled with hard-boiled eggs, a hula Barbie doll attached to a homemade raft, and a message in a test tube all have in common? Doesn't seem like they'd have much in common, but they all are litter items. So they're all trash that has been picked up by volunteers during previous international coastal cleanups. So each year, volunteers go out and they record their most unusual finds during international coastal cleanup. And the Ocean Conservancy tracks every bit of data that these volunteers collect. One of the things they like to do is ask them what were their most unusual finds. So some examples were bowling balls, plastic dinosaurs, people have found money. I don't think that's unusual, but hey, right on. But all of those items were listed as most unusual finds during previous international coastal cleanup. So as bizarre as they are all trash items. All right, so let's check in with Emily and see if she has completed our scoreboard. But actually, before we jump into the score.
Let's announce the winners first.
Okay.
All right. Can we get a drum roll, please?
Hear that?
All right. The winner is our officially undefeated champion of Save Our Shores Trivia Night. Team Clams has won.
Woo!
Congratulations, Petra. She actually won our last trivia night as well.
Wow, Petra, you are on a roll.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Awesome job. We also have tied for second place was Tina and Nerdle Turtles.
Woohoo!
Tied for third was Clyde and Ocean Lovers.
Awesome
Good
job,
job,
everyone.
Can Carolyn and I say thank you? And besides, this time I had help. It wasn't just me.
Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone that played, and congrats to Petra and Carolyn, our Team Clams.
Yes, everyone did really, really well. I was really surprised.
That's amazing. I can't wait to look over your answers because, you know, you never know who knows this information. And I always love learning something new. So I hope you all also learned at least something new in that trivia night. But I wanted to go back real quick. That last bonus question, we talked about international coastal cleanup. And I wanted to let you know that it's not all doom and gloom. There are things that you can do to help protect your community. And September is annual coastal cleanup month. So normally coastal cleanup occurs on the last Saturday of September, but in these times of COVID, it was not safe to do one large gathering event. So we made it a coastal cleanup month. And that means you can conduct a cleanup anywhere you like throughout the month of September. Could be in your neighborhood, your local park, get out on your trails, your rivers, your beaches, and collect trash. And you can collect important data using the free Clean Swell app. And that way we can know what you're finding, where you're finding it, and we use that data to advocate for changes to try and prevent that trash from getting there in the first place. So you can learn more about this year's annual coastal cleanup on the Save Our Shores website. If you go to saveourshores.org/coastal cleanup 2020.
And I just put it in the chat as well.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Emily. So you could check that out. There's also some fun videos you can watch. There's some at-home activities. So if you're unable to get out for a cleanup, there's some fun things you can do at home as well. And if you have not had a chance yet or have not already done it, remember you can sign our pledge to reduce your use of single-use plastic. We will put that link again into the chat. Unfortunately, it wasn't letting me do that earlier. But we want to encourage you to step up, take the pledge, and get some tips from Save Our Shores on how you can actually make change at home and in your lifestyle to reduce your use of single-use plastics. Because I hope you learned throughout this trivia night that our single-use plastics have become so pervasive. They're now in our water, they're in our food, they're even falling out of the sky. So anything we can do to reduce that makes a difference. So again, congratulations to our winners. They will be receiving a free zero waste kit from Save Our Shores, which includes some fun goodies to help them reduce your plastic use. And I want to say thank you to everyone for playing. We hope to see you again at our next trivia event. And best wishes, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for playing.
Thanks for playing, everyone. I am going to stop our live stream. And I will stop our recording.